This is the story of how Udemy got its first customers. Udemy, if you don't know, is a billion-dollar course-sharing company. It was founded by this guy Gagan, and he had to do some crazy guerrilla tactics. This story involves Gagan using all the social capital he has at his disposal, data mining, cold emailing, and A/B testing, manipulating investors, manipulating users. The manipulating investors is kind of a joke, but it's some great guerrilla tactics. So I'm going to read this short story to you. I learned a lot from it. I just read it myself. And if you're trying to get something off the ground, this story will show a founder who hustled for months and eventually succeeded. He failed and failed and failed and eventually succeeded. Udemy is now a billion-dollar company. The cold start problem. Gagan spent the first 6 months of the company cold calling instructors and asking them to put courses on their platform. Udemy had no reputation or success stories of instructors making a living on the site. Because of that, none of the instructors Gagan called created courses for Udemy. He spent 6 months doing this. Gagan took matters to his own hands. His roommate was working on Startup Digest, a newsletter that had around 50 to 70,000 subscribers at the time. He piggybacked off their name and launched Startup Digest University, an offline paid event where founders can come and learn more about the mechanics of launching a startup. But Gagan still needed content that was not just another conference talk anyone can find on YouTube. Where did Gagan go? He went to his investors. He outlined very clearly what he wanted the talks to look like. He wanted content with concrete examples, data, and actionable insights. Because investors, the majority of them I hope, are deeply invested in your success, they agreed. Gagan categorized these recorded talks and launched them on Udemy to create his very first courses. He now had the supply side of the marketplace covered, and all he had to do was focus on getting customers to purchase these courses and use that as a case study to get more creators involved. Gagan had an easier time getting distribution to these courses than he did getting the course creators on board in the first place. It didn't take him 6 months, that's for sure. There are a few reasons for this. Number one, social capital / credibility of the instructors, which were the Udemy investors. And then number two is brand recognition from Startup Digest. As you can imagine, Gagan utilized every distribution channel he had at his hands. He asked his investors to promote Udemy. He had shout-outs in Startup Digest. He asked his friends and acquaintances to promote it as well. With the case study in hand, Gagan created a 3-step funnel to find potential instructors and convince them to create courses on Udemy. Number one, finding the leads. Gagan needed a huge amount of leads. He accomplished this by outsourcing the lead generation process for $3 an hour to data miners in the Philippines using Odesk. In the past, Udemy used college interns but switched to outsourcing to increase efficiency. Udemy had 5 to 10 outsourcers working on lead generation at any given time. The lead generation team searched Learn Python or What is Python and any other search term related to learning Python or any other topic Udemy wanted a course on. When the data miners found a relevant website, they'd copy-paste the web page's author's email. This amounted to hundreds of emails a day that the outsourcers would put in a Google Doc. Number two, getting the leads to talk to them. Once they had the emails, the data miners would email one by one each address. Gagan didn't use MailChimp or any other mass email service because he thought it looked sketchy. The outsourcers sent a variety of emails Gagan wrote beforehand and tracked which emails received a response. After 500 emails or so, the team switched to the winning email. They were testing emails against each other. And then number three, closing the lead. At this point, the data miners successfully had hundreds of instructors signed up for Udemy. But there was still a problem. The instructors rarely finished and launched their courses. This is where the user manipulation comes in, a little bit of user manipulation. Gagan got creative. Udemy emailed any instructor who didn't finish creating their course and said, hey, we want to run a promotion for your course in 3 weeks. Can you finish it by then? This email convinced instructors to finish creating their courses in a few weeks. It also had the instructors who hadn't even started creating a course actually make one. This is from my daily 7 days a week growth hacking, growth marketing podcast, The Edward Show, where I share every day startup stories, growth hacks, tricks, and case studies for anybody who wants to get visibility. You can listen to it at edwardspod.com. And this particular story is from the first 1000 newsletter by Ali Abulata. It's a newsletter that I love. I read it sometimes on the podcast. And that's what I'm doing on this show, converted for mobile video. The story with Gagan and Udemy is great. It really has everything. And you can see this guy hustled to make it happen. And he failed and he failed and he failed. And then he succeeded. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope you get some amazing visibility and traction too.